Hi. One of my goals for this week was to finally record and post a video. And I'll be honest with you, I don't really want to do it. I'm more comfortable writing posts. But I've come to realize that as a writer, you only have so much emotional currency. And if I can record some of this, it gives me different ways to connect to you all and share with you all in a way that's different from writing. And it's very important to me to be productive writing and to use all my writing hours for connection and social media. So as a writer, we have to be brave. So I'm working on being brave. Now you might wonder, what is this? Well, as writers, we also are exposing our foibles all the time. So as I got ready to record this, my glasses broke. I glued them and rubber banded them together. So I thought I might as well just show all my foibles and my glasses as they are being taped up. They still work pretty well. I'm going to leave them on because I have a few notes here. What I wanted to talk about today is reading outside your genre. And it's important. I think no matter what you write, I write a lot of narrative nonfiction. Philip Lopate likes to call it literary nonfiction, like essays and memoirs. And I always liked the idea of having somebody take me on a journey. Like imagine having a professor lecturing to you about Italy for an hour versus being sitting next to like somebody who's a great storyteller. You're at a dinner party and you're sitting next to him and he's telling you all about Italy and where he went and what was wonderful about it and weaving in personal stories and history and, that dinner party experience or having that personal connection. That's what I love. So it can be memoir, travel writing, history, strict essay. I like that connection. So why is it so important to read outside your genre? Well, one, maybe you want to write in different genres, or you can learn from all the genres. I have not read a lot of mysteries and fiction, and I went to Bennington and my MFA. They didn't cover a lot of genre writing. And, maybe I was a little bit, stuck up about that kind. Oh, in the MFA program, we don't read that. We don't write this. But I think that is probably not the way to go. I think it's more important to read widely. So I was in a book group. I don't know if we can see this. Probably not. Read Jacqueline Spears, Masie Dobbs. And it was a very fun book. It was a very fun book, and I learned a lot from it. And I think I can share that with you. Some of the three main points that I learned from that. One is that the sense of place is important. And I'm going to say in the case of Masie Dobbs, and in most instances, place and time tend to go hand in hand. So Masie Dobbs, this book one, I've only read one book. It's a long series, very popular. I think they're making a movie or series out of it. And it is set in the same time period as Downton Abbey. So World War I is ending, but she backflashes into World War I. So it's that same time period. And she is somebody who has worked in a manor house and then is trying to make it on her own. So the sense of place, she moves around in places. She doesn't stop and spend a lot of time in strict description. She will describe maybe what somebody's wearing as they're walking. As the narrator in this, it's a third-person narrator. And you'll get a sense of a dusty office, a cemetery. And she does this by choosing a few details. Even people watching the way Masie walks. She doesn't she's not afraid to take up space as she walks. She has determination. Not that she is aggressive, but she has substance. And that is described several times in the book, the way she walks, carries herself. She has a few outfits, not a lot of clothes, but a certain persona. When she's interacting with somebody else, you get a sense of what they're wearing. There's a few people with accents, but in terms of characterization, she differentiates. You can tell that it's not the same person over and over speaking. And that is with new writers, something that I see often. If you look when they have a character speak, even in nonfiction, there'll be so little difference in the way they speak. They haven't captured their characters. And when you read fiction and you see how they're differentiated, in this case, she has one character with kind of a Cockney accent. You don't have to have an accent to have different ways, phrasings, level of education. You can get a lot, and you want to make sure that you get that in there. And when I say level of education, I'm not talking about a college degree. I'm saying if your mother talks about your garden and your father talks about the same garden, they're going to use different words. To one of them, it might be the pink flower that blooms in autumn. And the other one knows specifically about this special autumn crocus that they, got from a certain house. And they know the Latin name for it. They'll know if they have a holly plant or vomitorium is the name of a holly plant around here. Ilex vomitorium. That was hard to forget. So if somebody was talking about me, they might say I mispronounced the Latin names. That sounds like something I would do. Or versus my husband, it's the one that's got to get trimmed every fall. So you want to make sure your characters are differentiated. When you read fiction that does that, you can learn a lot about that. So we've got sense of place with a few wonderful details. The way how high the tombstones are in the cemetery, the clusters of elaborate ones versus the plain ones, how crowded it is, how, what's left at them, which tombstones are lonely, which ones are, festooned with adornments of love that are recent. It's close to a railroad track in this case. So people going by can do a quick visit with their relatives. Some people want to be buried. And then that tells you a bit about the way the cemetery is integrated into the community. And then what about the gravestones that just have one first name? It's kind of a mystery. It's just mentioned in the beginning. It becomes more and more of a mystery. So these details, as you're describing, not only serve to set the time and the place, they can also create intrigue, drama, conflict without having somebody teetering at the edge of a cliff. And whatever genre you're writing, and we can learn from that. I mentioned that this was written in third person, this Masie Dobbs. And I love first person writing. I described earlier how first person writing can be a sort of magical personal tour through either your thoughts, a place, a time, a reckoning, information, learning. I love that first person tour. This book is written in third person, and it feels very intimate, even though you have a narrator who is often, is inside of some heads, but the action here is some thinking, but mostly doing, mostly what is happening. Well, in a personal essay, there's a lot of intellectual labyrinth that somebody may be, maybe they're doing something physical and traversing this intellectual labyrinth, which makes for a great personal essay. And that's why the first person works so well for this. This is written in third person, and yet you do feel you get to know the characters, the main characters and the supporting characters. The other thing that this book does is Masie Dobbs has a backstory. So just like in personal essay, you may be doing something maybe you are writing about a trip, or even gardening, driving to your childhood home, whether you're doing something and then you're weaving in this personal narrative. Well, this book, Masie Dobbs, does the same thing. There is a story going on, and then there is a backstory of how Masie came to be who she is. And what is really nice about that is you can give and withhold. So you can have peak intrigue in both the backstory and the current story that keeps you wanting to turn the pages. And that can be true for memoir as it is for Masie Dobbs. So there's a lot to be learned there. So we talked about characters and place and weaving in personal history and first and third person. So I guess I gave you four main points from Masie Dobbs that could serve the memoir and personal essay writer. So next time, I hope I won't have the rubber band on my glasses. And I hope you enjoyed thinking about Masie Dobbs. And I would say, even if it's not your thing, this kind of mystery story, I would have said not my thing either. But fortunately, somebody in the book group said, I loved it so much that I read them all one after the other. And one woman who came to our book group was already on book number 3. As soon as she started the first one, she kept going. And I can understand that. So I hope you consider reading outside the genres that you write in. And if you want to share anything about what you learned from reading outside your genre, we would love to hear it. You can add your comments below. Thanks. Bye.